Come on, Genesis fans, don't try and tell me that Duke is their best album. That's nonsense. The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, their best album by far. I'm playing this today on a Pro-Ject turntable and a new integrated amplifier from NAD. In case you didn't know, NAD stands for New Acoustic Dimension. This is the M10 from the Master Series, and it has VU meters. It's a streaming amplifier, so yes, I've got my turntable hooked up via a Schiit phono stage into one of the analog inputs in the back. But because it's a streaming amplifier, we're mainly talking software and apps. So I'm going to move this onto the top of the unit now, move the turntable out of the way so we can have a closer look. So this M10 is what I call a shoebox amplifier. It's very small. It qualifies absolutely as kallaxfi, as you've just seen, because it fits inside a Kallax unit like this, inside one of the shelf holes. It has Gorilla Glass on top. It has a very large touchscreen here. Inside is a 100-watt Hypex Encore amplifier. The DAC comes from ESS. I think it's a 9028, but I don't know that for sure. It's very small, it's kind of light. We can have a look at the back panel. And now we're going to connect our cables. So as you've just seen, the M10 boots up just like a computer does. And it has a very large, very attractive, and very bright touchscreen display. And so it shows the cover art, it shows song title, album name, and artist name. One minor gripe I have is that the artist name is very small at the bottom, and that's the only thing that I can't read from my listening position over here on the couch. I wish they'd flipped the album name and the artist name around so that the album name is small and the artist name is larger. But all up, this is a really attractive front panel. So we also use this touchscreen for playback control, play pause, for skipping tracks. And we use it for changing the volume up and down. And then we also use it for changing over to other inputs. I think it's worth pointing out that there are two analog inputs, a Toslink, a coax, and there's an HDMI input on here. So we can use this touchscreen to control all aspects of the M10, including some of the deep dive menu settings on here. But not only, we can also use their Android app, and there's also an app for iOS. There's an app for Windows, and there's an app for Mac OS. You don't get that many different applications for so many different operating systems from a hi-fi company normally. So because it's a BluOS device, we get the full suite of software control. So this is the Mac OS version of BluOS software, and you can see there's a whole truckload of streaming services that it integrates. On this side we have all the input selection, so if I click this, it'll change on the amp to my left. So the Bluetooth connection, and I call it a connection, on this M10 is quite interesting because it's two-way. So for incoming signals, I pair this with my Echo Dot, my Amazon Echo Dot in the kitchen, which we saw in last week's video, but it also has a Bluetooth output and is aptX powered as well. So you can see that the M10 is now paired with my Bluetooth headphones. And so I can then route any of the inputs from the M10 to these headphones as the output. Instead of it going to my speakers, it goes to my headphones over Bluetooth. One of the obvious benefits of having a review item at home is I get to listen for several weeks. And I've been listening to the M10 with these Harbeth Compact 7 ES3 for the past 4 weeks. And I've found that they have 3 standout qualities. The first is super tight bass. The second is transparency in the extreme. And the third is a very finessed delivery of surface textures. One Darko audio reader emailed me saying, "John, please be really harsh on the M10. I want to know what I'm missing from the big Hegel amplifier that you use quite often." You get a more incisive top end from the M10 with these Harbeths, but what you don't get is that fleshy tonal mass that the Hegel excels at. I mean, the M10 sounds a bit thin in comparison. So a more price appropriate comparison, and obviously size appropriate and everything appropriate, is the Naim Uniti Atom. So the Naim is a Class AB amplifier. It's much heavier than the NAD. I compare the two using the same model power cable, the same model Ethernet cable, so as a streaming amplifier using Roon. And I found that the NAD is slightly more detailed. It draws the outlines of players a little bit more cleanly, and it has a tighter low end. It also has a slightly wider soundstage, and I think it's a little bit taller, but sometimes I think it is, and just as I think it is, it's not. So in contrast, the Naim sounds a little bit more opaque, but in Roon it requires a lower volume setting, even though this is rated, I think it's, and the NAD is 100. You have to bring the volume slider down a little bit. This feels like the more powerful amp with more headroom. Yes, it's a little bit more opaque than the NAD, but it sounds like it's in more of a hurry to get through music, and it has, and this is the big difference actually, it has more punch than the NAD, which often comes off as sounding very beautiful and very pretty, but a bit polite with dynamics. One of my favorite American bands is Giant Sand. I've been listening to a lot of Giant Sand this week, and in trying to conclude the differences between the Naim and the NAD in short, pithy statements, I would say that the NAD is cooler tonally, but more transparent than the Naim. And the Naim is a bit warmer and offers us more impactful dynamics. It's not my job to tell you what's best, it's my job to call out those differences as I've just done. You can decide what's right for you. But I don't think purchasing decisions between these two amplifiers are going to fall only to sound qualitative differences. I think they will also fall to feature set differences. The NAD, it's lighter, it's more compact, it has that beautiful touch screen, but the Naim has a headphone socket. It has Google Chromecast support built in, which I personally love because of SoundCloud. I listen to a lot of DJ mixes on SoundCloud. But for me, the killer feature of the Naim is the very tactile volume wheel. So really, I would say that the Naim is for people that like to get hands-on with their gear. And the NAD is for people who are very happy using apps, software, or the touch screen on the front. But in terms of software apps, NAD definitely has the edge. It has an app for 4 operating systems and its streaming service integration is far broader, and also the apps are just nice to use than the Naim. So this is a microphone, it's a strange looking microphone, that comes in the box with the M10. And that's because the M10 has a killer feature that the Naim Unity Atom does not have, and that is room correction powered by Dirac Live. Now it's a limited version of Dirac Live, it only corrects up to 500 Hertz. You can pay an extra €100 for the full correction. I did not at this stage, although I might pen a follow-up. So I use the Dirac Live that comes with the NAD. It's a custom version. It runs on Mac OS or on Windows. And what it does is it talks to this microphone to read the room through a series of bleeps and bloops for frequency sweeps. It creates a filter on the Mac or the Windows PC and then sends that across the network to the NAD M10. So it's all pretty clever, but basically what it does is it analyzes the room and then corrects the output of the M10 to better fit the room, so we should get a better sound. Now I did not use this microphone. I use my own UMIC one just because I have the stand for it. And what the software asks us to do is to measure different positions. So I've got a two-seater couch here, so I would measure it here and then do another measurement here, and then back up again and across a little bit, and then measure here and then down here. So Dirac wants to see a whole suite of measurements. I'm ducking under this microphone here, a bit strange. But when it's got a map of the listening position, and you can choose whether you're a solitary single seat listener. I'm not, I can't stand that. But you can choose what kind of seat you have. You can choose whether you want to measure exactly at the listening position or all around it. A lot of it depends upon how selfish you are with your listening. Anyway, so I measured my room, got the filter, Dirac applied it, and then I sat and listened. In the app, you can apply the filter and then turn it on and off. So does Dirac improve things or not? Well, I think so, yeah, and quite a bit. I mean, for me, it improved the focus of the low frequencies. It added a bit of mid-bass richness, so the overall presentation sounded warmer. But what I think was really interesting was how the horizontal plane of the soundstage dropped by at least 30 centimeters. So yeah, I think it's better, subjectively speaking. I thought actually it made the NAD sound closer to the Unity Atom. But you might be wondering, well, why don't I just get Dirac and run it on my computer? The answer is that having the filter installed inside the NAD amplifier means that it can be applied to all inputs, analog included, and also to my favorite Genesis album, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. No, it's not Duke. It doesn't even have Peter Gabriel on it. How can it be Duke? Come on. Anyway, so yeah, Dirac can be applied to vinyl playback, which I think is really cool. NAD have packed a lot into their higher end BluOS streaming amplifier, and I think the Dirac Live is really the killer feature here. It's not hard to use. I thought it might be a bit fiddly, but the custom app that they've created is wonderful. It's super simple. It walks you through it step by step. Very easy. So if you've got a problematic room, I would probably pick the NAD over the Naim. But also, just in general, I love products like this, especially smaller ones that become kallaxfi, because we don't need a rack. We can tuck them away really discreetly. And I think they really fit very well with modern lifestyles and smaller apartments like this, where space is at a premium and we don't want to have gear everywhere. And also we don't sacrifice a whole bunch of sound quality just because we're not loading a rack with separates and connecting them with cables. It's just a nice single box with the benefit of short signal paths. This is futurefi. This is hi-fi for the future that has arrived now. It is for people who just want a simple solution that they can just get up and running in 10 minutes. They can tune to their room if they want to. And no one is going to complain about how that big, ugly hi-fi is taking over the lounge room. If you like this video, you know what to do. Hit the like button. I don't have to beg you. If you dig the animations that our editor, Jana puts on these videos, please subscribe to this channel. Also subscribe to her channel, EARSPACE, because she has a multitude of talents with video post-production, and she does animations on her videos as well as the ones that we make. So if you like those, please subscribe to this channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Yeah, keep rolling on that. Yeah, okay.